Hey guys, Legendary Grimlock here, and I think by the end of this video, I'm going to be out of breath. But today we have IDW Godzilla versus the X-Men, and obviously it is the 2018 roster. Now, for you guys wondering, hey, this wasn't on the schedule, I do like to do in-between videos or in-between versus battles to kind of like space my content out. So without further ado, let's begin, and we're going to start off with Sync. Now, Sync is a mutant with the ability to copy any power and ability he wants. At first, he was limited to mutants, but as of the recent X-Men run, X-Men 2018, right, he is no longer bound by any limits. This means he can even copy Omega-level mutant powers like Jean Grey, even copying Skyfather or basically aspect of Oblivion's, right, like Null. He even copied King in Black Venom's powers, who should be above, if not on par, with Null. You see, the thing about Sync is he's able to copy anything and everyone, even if they're like planets away, right? So it doesn't matter what your power is, what your abilities are. It doesn't even matter if you have tech attached to you. You have powers and abilities, he can copy. And he can copy you down to your biology. He was able to copy Iceman's ability to regenerate his limbs, and he still had his normal limbs right after that battle. Like, so this dude can copy any power and ability he wants, and he doesn't even have to be near you in order to copy it. He can copy you from across the planet, across the, across the, across the solar system. All right. I guess you could say that's his range for right now. But again, him being able to copy Omega level mutants is absolutely ridiculous. Now, let's go on to the next member of this team, Rogue. Now, Rogue herself is confirmed to permanently have Wonder Man's strength. Even after Wonder Man was released from her body, she still had his strength level. Now, you might ask, Legendary, why is that important? Isn't Wonder Man a pacifist? Yes, Wonder Man is a pacifist. Rogue isn't, so she still would have his strength level. If not, she could actually be seen as slightly stronger than him now. Now, Wonder Man is consistently on par with pre-current Thor. All right? Again, pre-current because Thor is a Skyfather with the power cosmic. So, again, this Thor, right? Sorry, Wonder Man. Wonder Man consistently is on par. Wonder Man is consistently on par with Thor as of both statements and feats here. Keep in mind that Thor himself has been able to transcend dimensions simply due to his godhood, and Wonder Man is on par with this guy. Wonder Man should also be stronger than Thor when he was a child. Thor, as a kid, by crying, shook all of Yggdrasil. Yggdrasil is basically this tree, right? This cosmic or celestial-like object that contains an infinite number of realms in a quantum space here. And it has an infinite number of realms with an infinite amount of possibilities. And these universes here are infinite in size. So again, this is very consistent with Rogue here. And Rogue has even been able to take down characters like Thor in classic days, albeit she used to have a limit to where she couldn't absorb too much godly power, otherwise she'll overload. However, Rogue seems to have overcome a lot of her limitations, like her mental instability when she absorbs someone's powers, and she no longer needs to touch someone in order to absorb the powers. She can actually absorb you just by like you being around her. Like any radius that is around her, she can just absorb it, and there's no limit to it. Next up, Jean Grey, one of the Marvel's most powerful telepaths. You can either argue second or third, depending on if you want to give Rachel, Grey some credit. But I think Jean is stronger. But anyway, let's get into the feats, right? Jean has been able to consistently clown Nightmare. All right, the same Nightmare that is able to rule over the dream realm and even terrorize it, which is a collection of everyone's subconscious. And then you have her astral form, which is able to go toe-to-toe with Gladiator, which is absolutely ridiculous here because the thing about Gladiator's scaling is that he can scale above beings like Silver Surfer. She's also been able to take on someone like Madeline Pryor, who was able to make Venom forget that he had the power of Null. All right, so she's incredibly powerful. And Jean was not only able to go toe to toe with her, she was able to just straight up beat her. Now, let's talk about Gladiator scaling, right? The reason why I would say Gladiator could be scaled above Galactus is because in Doctor Strange number 16, right? I think it was his 2018 or 2019 run where he was able to fight against a magically amped Galactus who had absolutely dog walked Silver Surfer and flexed off the Hulk. Keep in mind that Silver Surfer was able to go toe to toe and hold his own against someone like Griever. Griever is the literal concept of death for the eighth cosmos. And if you guys don't know, cosmos in Marvel could actually mean a different multiverse. So this means that they're able to destroy another multiverse. And Silver Surfer had to go so far to basically beat her that they both had to transcend they both transcended multi-eternity and the Never Queen. Like, they both went into the same plane as the Never Queen, which is absolutely ridiculous, as Black Panther needed the Tiger God to even reach that level, and she was able to defeat a weakened Franklin Richards, who was still stated to be beyond the likes of Silver Surfer, Galactus, and the Hulk. So yeah, Jean scaling should be up there. Now, the next one we're going to cover is Polaris. Now, Polaris should easily be above Jean and Rogue to a degree. Again, to a degree here. She was able to defeat an alien war machine, right? This alien war machine was giving trouble to characters like Jean and Rogue, who I just scaled earlier. And Polaris was able to just take it down like it was nothing. You could say it's her power set, but again, this robot actually required a lot of effort from her. Matter of fact, no, it didn't. I lied. It actually required casual effort from her in order to just, like, wreck it. And again, this robot took attacks from Jean and Rogue. Now, the thing about Polaris is that she is still Magneto's daughter, all right? So she could basically do everything that Magneto does, but you could probably say to a lesser degree. She's been able to shake the Earth before and has been able to match characters like Storm when it comes to, like, energy or magnetic versus, her magnetic energy clashes. As a matter of fact, her magnetic energy is also on par with characters like Scarlet Witch. And this Scarlet Witch, right, during this current era, was able to eat Chthon in his own realm. So yeah, it's absolutely ridiculous here. She's also able to use her magnetic abilities to such a level, right, that she's able to basically just manipulate the iron in someone's blood. Again, Magneto's daughter, right? So next up, we got X-23, and in all honesty, this is pretty quick coverage. She's basically Wolverine, like, I guess you could say Wolverine light, but again, I'm not being disrespectful here. It's just a sheer fact. She does not have the same healing factor level as he does. However, she still has been able to kill Predator X's, which have been able to harm characters like Colossus, and I've taken multiple X-Men teams to simply take one down. So her killing one is absolutely ridiculous. She's even been able to regenerate from having all of her skin melted off, but it seems to that she has a limit to what she can regenerate, as it's confirmed that she cannot regenerate lost limbs. So again, not on the same level as Wolverine when it comes to healing factor, but she's definitely faster and more agile. Her claws are still made of adamantium, and she's been able to cut characters like the Hulk. She also has very exceptional skills as well, as she was able to disarm and being able to destroy three Venom symbiotes that were on par with Captain America in terms of skill. So it's ridiculous. Next up, we have Sunfire. Now, this is a mutant you definitely want at your back. He actually got his powers from the bomb of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, which is, dang, Marvel, that's kind of cold. And then his power level and power output is so powerful, right? He's able to wreck Apocalypse's armor, and this is still Apocalypse with celestial armor. So again, you guys have to, again, keep that in mind. He's able to melt the skin off characters like Sabretooth, but again, that's kind of casual. I'm guessing y'all really didn't want those kind of feats, but let's get into some good stuff, right? He was able to melt Warlock and Danger. Keep in mind, Danger is the same character who's able to basically analyze and destroy an entire X-Men team consisting of Colossus, Emma Frost, Beast, and Cyclops. So again, a pretty formidable team, right? And yet, Sunfire was able to melt these guys with ease. Iron Man stated himself that if Sunfire ever hit him with a direct blast, that it would kill him. And keep in mind, Sunfire is also a very powerful energy absorber to the point where he could absorb celestial energy. So again, I think it's pretty simple. You could put him at a universal to universal category, just like the rest of the X-Men I just scaled here, minus X-23, right? Now, next up we have Cyclops, the leader of the team, and obviously the strategist here. Cyclops has been stated to be a strategist on par with the likes of Captain America and has actually proved it in Avengers vs. X-Men, where each side actually claimed reasonable victories, minus Unstoppable Colossus because the writers could not figure out how to make him do anything, which is ridiculous. Cyclops' Optic Blast is so powerful that it's not only been able to rip the skin off the Hulk, but it's actually been able to harm Dormammu. Keep in mind that Cyclops' Optic Blast is not actually like heat-based. It's more or less kinetic energy, and Cyclops has used it to not only being able to master the ricochet, but absolutely wreck house when it comes to even using the full force of it. The full force of Cyclops' Optic Blast has been able to knock back Onslaught and even chip at his armor just a little bit. Keep in mind, his blasts are on par with Havoc, who's been able to crack Celestial armor. And now that would be pretty much concluding the X-Men. Cyclops, X-23 Wolverine, Sync, Sunfire, Jean Grey, Rogue, and Polaris. So now we're going to head to the king of the monsters himself. Godzilla is an absolute unstoppable force of nature. Godzilla is so powerful that he was able to destroy and defeat all the Greek gods much faster than the likes of Kratos if you really think about it. But anyway, if we really talk about it here, the Greek gods have some lore of their own, such as them being above things like the primordials. The primordials were, or at least some of the primordials like Uranos, were able to stop things like chaos itself within the entire universe, and Kronos should be above this, and Zeus should be above Kronos. So again, it's very prevalent that we get that historical scaling because again, these Greek gods do have feats of their own throughout their lore. Godzilla has also been able to defeat beings like Yamato no Orochi, who is a being that consumes celestial gods. And these gods, again, are in a much higher position than regular gods because, again, they are celestial beings, meaning they are abstract beings. Godzilla himself has also been able to not only resist the influence of both God and Satan, but was able to defeat both of them, even being able to take attacks from these guys pretty easily. This is also noted to be God's Mountain, who created the universe with a simple thought. The IDW Godzilla universe is noted to be infinite in size, okay? So, yeah, in all honesty, you could actually say the Godzilla multiverse is actually infinite in size, and Godzilla should be able to destroy it simply based off him being able to kill the creator alone, right? Godzilla also has incredible reaction and combat speed, being able to react to Gigan's laser. You could actually put his speed into the immeasurable to inaccessible category, as monsters like Mothra, Batra, Kaiser Ghidorah, King Ghidorah, and Gigan have all been able to fly from one end to the galaxy to the other in the span of a few seconds. So again, this will put their speed at many times faster than light, and you could even argue immeasurable and inaccessible. Godzilla has also been able to resist characters like the twins when it comes to mental hacks, and even the world's government putting a mind control machine that was able to control every monster on the planet, including monsters that had powerful telepathic resistance, couldn't resist this influence of this machine. However, when they tried to read Godzilla's mind, they overloaded themselves and died. Crazy, ain't it? Godzilla also possesses things like the nuclear pulse and the atomic breath, which scale to each other, or you could probably say the nuclear pulse is definitely above the atomic breath, as it has shown it on multiple occasions. And Godzilla has been able to hit faster than light, or many times faster than light, monsters with the nuclear pulse when the atomic breath couldn't cut it. Godzilla can also enter a second stage known as his fusion mode, and this mode is kind of like I guess you could say like a burning stage, where he has like the red spiral ray, which gets stronger with every blast it gets, and a thermonuclear pulse. However, this state will leave him completely exhausted afterwards. So without further ado, here we have it. Godzilla versus the X-Men. A fight that should have happened a long time ago, Marvel. Where y'all at? We should have been had this. Yeah, Godzilla versus Avengers was cool, but y'all added a lot of characters in there. Where the X-Men at? So, right off the bat here, who are the biggest threats to Godzilla? And I think it's kind of simple here. It's the heavy hitters. I think the biggest threat possible here is Sync. Being able to not only copy everyone's abilities, but combine them and even use Godzilla's own abilities against them. But I don't really think Godzilla is a stranger to these kind of powers and abilities. I mean, it's just, Godzilla has literally fought characters like Space Godzilla and Biolate, who literally have his powers and abilities. Now, again, you do have characters that have all these hacks and all these abilities, but again, you have Godzilla that can simply turn the tide of the battle in his favor within an instant. A lot of these characters don't even have the durability to really hang in this kind of fight here. I mean, Jean Grey is powerful herself, but she does not have the durability. Characters like Polaris are exceptionally powerful, but they do not have the durability. The only ones who I can even think of have the durability to actually last in this fight would be Rogue, Sunfire, and Sync. So in all honesty, one nuclear pulse and the people I just named could be taken out here. Jean could probably get away with it maybe by using like a telekinetic barrier to possibly block off some of the attacks here. There's also the fact that Sunfire could absorb some of Godzilla's energy. However, we've seen how that has fared before, and some of the energy that people do absorb is able to overload them. Now, Sunfire being able to absorb the Celestial's energy was impressive, but it seemed to have hurt him as well. I don't think he'd probably do this in this fight, especially if it leaves him vulnerable. Jean could potentially use telepathy to access Godzilla's mind and try to shut it down, but again, Godzilla has resisted things like telepathy before. Now, you could probably say it's not as powerful as Jean's here, but the thing is, right, the twins were able, the twins themselves, these, I guess you could say dark fairy-like twins, right, were able to control the likes of Batra, who has telepathic power, even being able to blow the head off of a trilopod Batra that should be, I guess you could say, stronger than Batra because it's the trilopod cells enhanced with Batra cells. Basically, the trilopod's power stacked on with Batra's power is what I'm trying to say here. And Godzilla is no slouch by any means here. He could take out a lot of the X-Men with a simple atomic breath. And I honestly think that is what's going to happen. A lot of these X-Men are going to fall very fast during this fight here. I definitely think characters like Cyclops and X-23 or Wolverine could definitely fall in a matter of seconds. If the others don't get their defenses up, they can easily fall here. And Rogue also has an issue with her overloading herself with so much radiation. Godzilla has just as much, if not slightly more radiation than the likes of the Hulk here. Even characters with divine power have been able to pretty much overload Rogue before. And Godzilla himself was also made an avatar of God, meaning he does have divine energy. And he has consumed angels and demons before, adding on to that divine energy. And then again, like I said before, if the X-Men do overwhelm him and do find a way around his atomic breath, then his nuclear pulse is going to kick in. I think the hardest character for Godzilla to be here is definitely going to be Sync, because he can copy all of Godzilla's powers and abilities. But again, if the X-Men start falling and he starts killing a lot of the X-Men, then this is going to possibly dwindle Sync's power, and then it just leaves him with Godzilla's power. And Godzilla already knows that this is going to be his bread and butter. Do I think it would take a while? Yes. Do I think Godzilla pulls it off? Yes. Now, the reason why I think Godzilla pulls it off is because he has a higher power output than most of the characters here. And again, we have seen Godzilla fight against the Avengers before, and we saw how that went. They were compared as specks of dust to him, or at least next to nothing to him. And we do know that Marvel Godzilla is somehow considered one of the weaker Godzillas here, or at least compared to IDW, he just seems a lot weaker here. So in all honesty, I would definitely have to favor Godzilla here at least 6 or maybe 5.5 times out of 10. Let me know what you guys think down below. Please comment down below, like and subscribe and share with your friends. This is Legendary Grimlock, and I hope you guys have a blessed day. Peace.